Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the bust them, and everybody else in between. Let the madness begin, and it has begun. One game in, and we already had a crazy, wild finish. Wagner and Howard. Wagner survives. Howard had three clean looks at the basket late in the basketball game. They were down by 3. It was a furious comeback. They outscored them like 16-4 in like a 2.5, 3 minute span. And, suddenly they had a chance to win the basketball game, to potentially tie the basketball game. They had 3 looks from 3, all 3 shots missed. And when it's all said and done, Wagner advanced. Virginia and Colorado State have started. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not feeling very good about my position here with the Virginia Cavaliers in this basketball game. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I always, I always overrate Virginia. And I didn't like the road trip. I didn't like the quick turnaround spot for Colorado State, but something that I did not think about, actually, and it only hit me a couple of minutes ago as I was watching this game. I'm like, because I said, well, Virginia are kind of difficult to deal with unless you see them a lot. And they see San Diego State all the time. San Diego State are like a better Virginia, right? Like Virginia's offense is bad. So like you can battle on defense all you want. Good for you. You've held Colorado State to like 22 points. All right, that's pretty good. That's the good news. The bad news is you've scored 14 points, man. Right? There's 3 minutes left in the first half, and the Virginia Cavaliers have 14 freaking points. I almost thought that Virginia somehow would play well tonight, too, to justify themselves being in the tournament. But they haven't won a tournament game since they won the tournament in 2019. And they're really not a team built to come back. They're now down 25-14 with under 3 minutes remaining. Colorado State have just hit a 3. We've got a lot of college basketball breakdowns, talk. We'll go over all the games, brackets, odds, and everything else in between. Coach James Young will step up, and a big man on campus is in the house. Tony George, straight from the Strip of Las Vegas, Nevada. Tony George Sports kicks it with us this evening. The Ranger Redhead Cam Stewart in the house, and we've got to talk some football as well. And Rick Saratella will step up and in and throw it down with us this evening. So it's 25-14 right now for Colorado State. And the Rams are off and running. They're 9.5-point favorites. Shout out to everyone joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. Colorado State are off and running right now, 25-14. Virginia aren't built to come back on anybody. Their offense, this is like a pathetically putrid showing. 14 points. Like, really? You expect, like, you're not going to win a football game scoring 14 points, let alone a basketball game. Tony Bennett this and Virginia that and stuff, but you can't win playing like this. I don't know. It was a miracle that you guys won the national championship. You're going to hang your hat on this, but you better start recruiting some freaking players that can actually score, bro, because this is a catastrophe that's going on. Colorado State rolling. They're laying 9.5. In-game total right now is 111.5. It closed at 120.5, so it's 111.5 right now. I'll wait this out. We'll see what happens. We'll get this caught up to date at the half. So we got a bunch of NHL games. Big night in the National Hockey League tonight. Every night's a big night as far as these games really start to count right now in the NHL. But we've got a bunch of late games tonight, including the Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks. So the Buffalo Sabres enter tonight's play 4 points back of a playoff spot. They haven't made the playoffs in like 14 years. The Vancouver Canucks have lost 2 straight games. The Canucks are on a 2-game losing streak. The Canucks have been pretty good at bouncing back. They generally don't lose 2 in a row. They've only lost 3 in a row once this year. And the Buffalo Sabres did play last night and got it done last night against the Seattle Kraken. Short road trip, quick turnaround for the Sabres. Vancouver have been off since Saturday night, and there's no panic with the Vancouver Canucks right now. But at the same point in time, they were pretty frustrated. When you're having, teams, bettors get upset. I understand. People bet on these games. You get really upset after a regular season loss and stuff, but teams really don't. it's a long season. They know they're not going to win every game, but there was a sense of frustration after the game that they lost to the Washington Capitals the other night. I would expect the Canucks. One thing the Canucks have been really good at, too, is scoring early, right? They seem to score the first goal early all the time, and it hasn't helped them win the last couple of games, but they have been quick starters. So the Canucks are minus 200. It's a big price. I actually think they're going to win this game. I think you're going to get like a peak performance from Vancouver tonight. 4-2 Vancouver. I think they cover on the puck line. It's plus 125, except I should let you know I was on Howard, okay? So I'm not really in a position to start laying puck line this and getting cute, right? But I do think the Vancouver Canucks are going to win this hockey game, and I think they probably win by more than 1.5 goals. Big-time game on the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights are in action. The Vegas Golden Knights are minus 135 favorites. The total is 6.5 in this game. Minnesota and Anaheim, not such a big game. And then we got the Chicago Blackhawks and the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings are minus 370 favorites against the Blackhawks. They just beat them 5-0 a couple of nights ago, and then they lost their next game after that to Dallas. Meanwhile, Chicago bounced back and won. Chicago have actually won 3 of their last 4 games. And one thing Chicago has been doing is they've been scoring goals. I know they got shut out against L.A. The other night. We've talked a lot about the L.A. Kings through the season this year, and they're kind of an enigma in the sense that they're a bad home team for whatever reason. They don't have any sort of, they don't play well at home. They've done most of their work, and most of the damage and the points that they've racked up have been on these big successful road trips. And the thing is, LA, they have a good fan base. It's not as if though like they're playing in an empty building or anything like that. For whatever reason, they're not playing well at home. Big time favorites tonight. I think there's going to be goals in this game. And I tell you what, the Kings are an under team, but the Blackhawks are a big time over team. Like I said, they just played the other night. It was 5-0. The total is 5.5. I would expect there to be some goals here tonight. Virginia and Colorado State, though, will take center stage. We do have some NBA basketball. Dallas and San Antonio, close game. Right now, 102-101. Denver Nuggets up on the T-Wolves right now, 70-55 at the half. So they put up 125 points in the first half. The in-game total is 228.5, which seems like it's kind of manageable because we know the Minnesota Timberwolves are not going to tap out in this basketball game. We'll see if Virginia can get anything going offensively. The coach, James Young's going to step up, and then big man on campus in the house, Rick Saratella, Tony George, the Raging Redhead, Cam Stewart. We're jam-packed. We've got a locked and loaded edition of the Twisted Tuesday this evening. March Madness has begun, and so has the rage.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance.
That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. Let's do this thing. It's 27-14 for Colorado State at the half. That's right, 27-14 at the half. We've got a football score, and as I stated earlier, if you're the Virginia Cavaliers, you can't win a football game scoring 14. You can't win a table tennis effing ping pong game scoring 14 points. You scored 14 points, and meanwhile, St. John's just racked up 90 points against the best team in the country in the Yukon Huskies and are watching this abomination on television right now. Tony Bennett, head coach of the Virginia Cavaliers, Tony Bennett, the singer, would be able to put up more points than your players, and Tony Bennett died recently, right? At least I believe he did. I don't want to put him in the grave yet, but I think he did, actually. All right? Like, this is an absolute disgrace. Bad look for the committee. Terrible look for the Virginia Cavaliers, and bad look for me because I actually thought the Virginia Cavaliers would show up tonight to try to prove the world wrong. But we're talking about a Virginia team that hasn't won a damn tournament game since 2019 when they won the NCAA tournament. 14 points. 14 effing points in the first half. 20, you know what? Normally if you hold a team to 27 points in the first half, that's pretty good, but you need to be able to actually score as well. In-game total right now at the half is 104.5. It closed at 120.5. Colorado State are now 11.5-point favorites. Let's bring in the coach, James Young, Cam Stewart in the house. Coach, this is an absolute train wreck and an embarrassment. This is like an absolute low point. Like, this has to be amongst the lowest amount of points ever scored in the first half of an NCAA tournament game. This is an embarrassment and a disgrace for Virginia.
It is absolutely. It's funny. Like, as I'm like looking right now, I want to see what the team prop right now for Virginia, folks, is 46.5, and I'm taking the under in it. Listen, folks.
You don't think they can get to 47 points?
What do they need? 30? What do they need? 33?
34 points. 34 points.
Oh, no. Listen, folks, they run an offense called the blocker mover. And if, I don't want to do it again because I just did it on In-Game Live. I can literally pull out my clipboard and show
probably scrap this offense, all right?
Yeah, this offense sounds like a real loser.
Scrap it. Oh, my God. I mean, here's the thing. They can't make free throws. They can't create off the bounce. They're the slowest team in the country, and they don't press. So the only way they get back into this game is to lock up Colorado State. So now, if they're going
But
to
they
beat
can't
Colorado
score
State,
even when they get the ball after.
that's the problem.
Because they actually played good defense here. You held Colorado State to 27 points. Think about that, Coach. You're a coach. Imagine. You held your opponent to 27 points in a half, and you're losing by 13.
Let me tell you something. When I was at Monmouth, we tried putting in the blocker mover offense. Is the offense that Virginia runs. Guys, I was a coach. It put me to sleep. And I was coaching a team. Imagine why. I mean, listen, thank God for Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, wherever you get your coffee.
Yeah, but let me say, Coach, this might work. It's like Pete Carroll in the old days, right? This stuff might work. It's not 1980 anymore. It's not the 60s, not the 70s. We're talking it's 2024 right now. It's the same thing with football, right? You see it all the time, Cam, in the NFL. It doesn't matter. You can have, they have a great defense. Good for them. If you can't score points in the modern sports world, you don't win, point blank.
And that's the key thing. So here's the thing, folks. When they get down, and I said this before in In-Game Live, I said, if they go down by at least 10, 12 points, they cannot come back. Because if they get stops, guys, they're programmed by their coach to walk the ball up the floor.
I'm on Virginia. This is going to be a painful, now hour and a half.
I'm looking at 11 and a half live, and I'm
got no choice.
They're
doomed.
Put the hook. Yeah, we are doomed. But you know what? It's 11 and a half live. Really, is Colorado State going to win this game by 12 or more? They might not win, but I'm taking the live line, Morency. I'm just a sucker. Hooking the
14 points.
Listen,
14 points.
I know.
Guys, listen.
You
got to remember Virginia. If you go through the last, 6-7 games of their schedule, right? Mm-hmm. Let's start with this. Ready? They beat Miami 60-30 on February 5th. Ready? 80 versus Florida State. They don't play defense. 63. Ready? 49, 41, 44. 72 versus BC. BC sucks. 48, 72 Georgia Tech. They suck. 60 and 65. That was in overtime. They will not get to 50 points. The total right now is 46 and a half. Guys, at even money on DraftKings, I am taking the under right now.
So you're going Virginia team total under. I've got to go over 104.5 in this game, though. We're at 41 points right now. This is almost unheard of. We need to get, 66 points in the second half here, Coach.
Well, where are the points coming from? This is the coach and me trying to talk to the public. Colorado State's going to walk the ball up the floor because Virginia's not going to press. If Virginia gets stops, they're still. Did you watch the game that they played against Virginia Tech when they were down 30 in the second half? They were still running 25 seconds off the shot clock before they shot the ball. This guy's. What's the coach's name from Hoosiers? Not Gene Hack. What was the coach? Five passes. This is this team. They pass the ball. They don't create. They're in trouble. I mean, I went under 46 and a half.
What are we at? 41? Morency, we only need 65, not even 66. We need 65 friggin' points. 41, 65, what's 104 and a half? We can get this.
I think it goes over, Coach. I think it goes over the 104 and a half.
Me too.
Ready for this? Even though the line is 11 and a half. Have you when was the last time you saw a team done by 11, 13 points at the break? And the favorite is minus 1150. Even the book is telling you they're not coming back. They can't do it.
It just popped to 9.5 right now. The in-game total remains 104.5. It just moved to 9.5. Colorado State like 9.5.
What book is that? I need to find that book.
It's our book.
I should note too, Coach. I thought coming into this, that Colorado State, I knew Virginia's flaws, and I actually did see that Virginia Tech game. And in fact, that was the second worst loss against Virginia Tech in their school's history. That's how bad it was. I watched another one of their games that you just talked about too, and they got stuck at 47 or something. And it's a good point. They're like a football team that's down by 21 that keeps on running the ball. It's you guys know there's 8 minutes left and you're running the ball, right?
You think what they are? You know what they are? They're Army. They can be down by 40 points. They're still running the triple option. Like they're throwing the ball like deep, like one time, even losing. Because the thing is, they're programmed a certain way. They're programmed to shorten the game, right? That's the way they play. I mean, you'll figure this out really quick in the first half. Beginning of the second half. If they don't score, ready for this? If they don't score 8 points in the first 5 minutes, they're done.
I was thinking the same thing. They need 8 points in that before that 4-minute break.
Mm-hmm. And listen, I mean, oh my God!
Maybe they can hit a quick three coming out of the break. They hit a quick three.
Coach, why would you run it? So you're basically saying we're no talent hacks who run this offense, or guys who are slow and untalented with no athleticism. Correct?
It's called the blocker mover, and the defense is called the pack line, which means get out and pass lanes and deny it, folks. Virginia is shooting 5 for 29 from the floor. NCAA tournament committee.
And how many threes have they taken? Not even that many.
No, here's the funny thing. They're shooting
like they're missing.
Yeah. They're 2 for 9 from 3.
That's what I'm
3
saying.
for 20 from 2. That's the crazy part about it.
It's one brick after another. 3-footers. Boom, off the glass and stuff.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the Purdue that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance.
That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We told you off the top of the program that the Vancouver Canucks, the one thing that they've been doing a lot lately is scoring incredibly early in their games. They've lost the last 2 games. It didn't matter, but they've scored like right away. And the Canucks do have a 1-0 lead on the Buffalo Sabres right now with 12 minutes left in the first period of play. We've had 2 goals in Vegas already. It's 1-1. Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights with 9.5 left in the first period. In-game total is now 7.5 there. The Wild and the Ducks are still scoreless. And the Edmonton Oilers lead the Montreal Canadiens, a 1-0, a much lower scoring game than a lot of people anticipated. 1-0 for the Oilers right now with 6 minutes left. And the Blackhawks and Kings are also scoreless 9 minutes in. The second half is getting ready to start. Colorado State leads Virginia 27-14. The in-game total right now is 104.5. We're pulling the trigger on the over, and there is a bunch of NIT basketball as well. So there's a little bit of something for everybody. It's craziness and madness if you're a college basketball fan. And, Coach, let me quickly – I wanted to ask you, actually, Howard nearly came back and won this game tonight. They missed 3 3-point shots in a row at the end that could have tied the game. But I talked about this. I tweeted about this over the weekend. And I've talked about this for years. Howard, why don't teams put the other team on the line more, Coach, with 4 minutes left? It's almost like hockey, right? Hockey coaches used to pull the goalie with 30 seconds left, 40 seconds left. Now the modern analytics coaches will do it with 4 minutes left and 3 minutes left, and they get more extreme with it. But it's almost like the opposite in basketball. Like Valvano won the championship by fouling all the time, Coach. Time is not your friend, and most of these teams are not very good on the free throw line. So I don't understand why you just don't stop the clock with 2.5, 3 minutes left if you're down 7 or 8 or so, instead of Howard today just let the Wagner just bleeding the clock over and over and over again. Screw it. Just foul them. Put them on a damn line. If they go 50, 60%, whatever, we'll gamble that they don't go 90%. And then we just hit threes and we catch up. Why don't teams foul more like that and get aggressive and put the other team on the line to try to save time, Coach?
Well, a lot of it has to do with how good the team is offensively versus defensively. So if you look at a team like Wagner shoots the ball 71% from the free throw line. Guys, that's pretty good. Now, you can look
but
at
they don't turn it over either very much either, as we saw. So you got to pick your poison on that, Coach. He's just standing there, and they're not turning it over. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather get the 40 seconds back and put him on the line.
Well, the problem is that you're going to run into foul trouble as well. And it's a little bit different than back then. And here's the thing. It worked. Valvano broke the code by doing it and doing it way, way earlier in games. And I think that's the thing. And here's the other thing, guys. Here's the difference that happened with Valvano. Guys, when was the shot clock brought into college basketball? Not in 83. It was after that. So he had to stop the clock. He had no choice.
Somebody should tell Virginia that, Coach.
Well, yeah, Virginia.
Somebody should let Virginia know that there's a shot clock.
The shot clock exists. Yes.
These guys are slow cam by no shot clock standards. Even the old days are slow. It's like, God, you guys
team, but it's
teams in the 50s scored more, man.
Yeah,
listen, guys, it is painful to watch Virginia play basketball. It's one of those things where just so people know. So Tony Bennett, the coach at Virginia, his dad, Dick Bennett, was a long-time coach.
Yep.
I think he's known for, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say Washington State and Wisconsin.
Washington State.
Yeah. Right, in Wisconsin. They ran the same offense. So this has been in the Bennett family. His Dick Bennett's brother won it, I want to say, Wisconsin Stevens Point. He won D3 national championships. They all have run, this offense has been in a family for 40 years. This is all he knows. They can't adjust. And it's
like a family restaurant. They're not changing the menu.
Yeah.
They're not.
It's a family restaurant, then it's gone like damn business. That's what happens with it.
Well, I'm about to go out of damn business with them. So they better put some good food on the table. Otherwise, I'm in a lot of trouble. So West Regional. West Regional, Arizona. It's interesting. Arizona are actually the favorites. This is a unique situation. Arizona, the favorites to win this bracket right now, except North Carolina are the 1 seed. So North Carolina are plus 320. Alabama are 6-1. Baylor are 6-1. St. Mary's are 11-1. Michigan State are 14-1. New Mexico 14-1. Mississippi State 18. Clemson 20. Nevada 20. Dayton 28. Grand Canyon 40. I think this is a fun region here, Coach. Some really good games are awaiting us, and I do have North Carolina surviving and getting through. What's your take? Who do you have coming out of the West?
I have Baylor coming out of the West. I think they're the most battle-tested team. I don't trust Arizona because Caleb Love will shoot them out of games. You saw him do it at Carolina. You saw him do it in the Pac-12 tournament versus Oregon when they don't give the big man Omar Ballo the ball. I think Carolina could easily be tripped up. And round number 2, should they face Michigan State? Why? Izzo's as good as anybody on a short time in between games, and you can't be prepared for Tom Izzo on a one-day prep. Big upset, even though it's not an upset. I do like, obviously, New Mexico to come over Clemson. Richard Pitino's done a great job with this team. They have one of the best defensives in the country. I'm not a big believer in Clemson. The most exciting game to watch, Alabama-Charleston. Buckle up, 2 of the fastest teams in the country. This game will get up and down. Look for that game to go over. And I do think, maybe I'm showing a little hatred towards the West Coast Conference. You'll get where I'm going here. I do have St. Mary's losing the 5-12 game. I think they're losing Grand Canyon. The Lopes are really good. They got a pro, and they are really dynamic offensively. I think they're going to give St. Mary's fits.
What about Alabama at 6-1, Gabe? Like, that's a team that we know how good defense. They can play.
No defense. That's your problem.
Yeah, I don't think exactly. This is, they're trending in the wrong direction, Alabama.
They can lose to Charleston. They can lose to Charleston. That game's going to be a track meet. It's going to go up and down, up and down. But that being said, I do think Alabama will make a run, but I think they're going to lose to Baylor in the Elite Eight.
But because it's such a contrast in styles, right? Like St. Mary's are very Virginia-like. Let's be real. They're a little better offensively than Virginia, but so Grand Canyon are better offensively than St. Mary's are, but will Grand Canyon be able to handle St. Mary's defense and pace? I'm curious about that, but you're right, Coach, about Bama. They get Charleston, and imagine after that, they could get Grand Canyon after potentially, which Alabama that would be another track meet that Alabama would win. But St. Mary's versus Alabama would be a big-time contrast in styles, and I think that's what's going to happen. I got St. Mary's beating Grand Canyon. I do agree with you on the Lobos. Let me ask you about, because this is arguably the two of them I want to ask in the bottom here. 2 of the top, Dayton and Nevada. That's a tricky one right there. Very evenly matched teams. Who do you have winning that one?
I think Dayton has got one of the best seeds that Dayton deserve. Guys, go ahead and name the teams that Dayton beat that made the NCAA tournament. The answer is none.
None.
Nevada is in a tougher league. That you could argue that this should be flipped. That Dayton should be a 10 and Nevada could be a 7. I like Nevada a lot in this game. I think they absolutely roll Dayton. Now listen, Dayton's got themselves a pro. I mean, they got a big-time player. I think Nevada wins, and I think Nevada can give Arizona a major scare and maybe even pick them off.
Yeah, this regional is pretty crazy with the potential matchups. I'm looking at my bracket. That's what I have. Nevada, Arizona, then Baylor, Arizona. You got North Carolina potentially waiting. Baylor, North Carolina, Arizona potentially against the North Carolina. Long Beach, Coach. This is one of these stories. Always have like a unique situation. The coach had been there for, 13 years. They decide, you know what, we're going to go in a different way here, but you'll coach the conference tournament. Monson goes out and wins the conference tournament. Now, here they are right now. They get Arizona, so Long Beach likes to get after it and, play up and down. That plays right in Arizona's hand. But you are getting 20.5 points, Coach, with Long Beach.
Listen, shout out to a guy, coach's name is Dan Munson. So like he said, he was supposed to be fired. He went and coached the team and got them to the tournament. By the way, great first possession by Virginia. They shot it with 15 seconds left to go to shot clock, and they missed. So they're 4 for 30. But anyway, I do think Long Beach, that's a lot of points. I think Arizona will give you a great effort first game, and then the problem is going to be game number 2, because that's what happened after they lost to USC. They blow at USC, and they laid a stinker. I think they'll be good in game number 1. I'll take them minus the points.
Cam, who's your pick for the West Regional?
My West Regional, I kind of like Baylor as well. I'm with Coach there. I told you. I know, Gabe, down the stretch, I know you were very, very high on the Baylor Bears, but I think the reset, as we talked about, is going to be very good for this team. But they played a very difficult schedule. Look at the game they played against Houston, one of the favorites in the tournament. Baylor's one of those teams I think is very talented. I think Arizona, people shouldn't sleep on the Pac-12. They're getting a little bit disrespect in this tournament, and that's usually bad for business. But I like Baylor, especially at that price at 6-1.
I think it's insanity that Arizona are favored to win the regional. I don't get it.
It's because of Alabama.
More on the other side.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance.
That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense. And to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Well, you know what? We have breaking news right now. Virginia scored a basket. It only took them 13 minutes, but they finally scored a basket. They're all the way up to 16 right now. This game is done. They're down by 19 points. It's 35-16. Colorado State are now laying 17.5. The in-game total is 102.5. Colorado State just scored again. 37-16. Like, there's no way in hell Virginia are able to come back. Like, the Caitlin Clark and the Iowa Hawkeyes women's team would be better than this.
Okay, what? Morency, me, you, Cam, Foster, and Matty George would be better than these guys right now. I mean, this is absolutely a disgrace.
You're right. If we were playing, we'd have more than Colorado State would have more than 37 on us, but we'd score more than 16. It would be like it'd be more like 52-28 or something like that now.
Listen, folks, at half, I took under 46.5. They scored 2 points in the first 4 minutes. They are moving.
Wow, we talked about them needing
43.5. They did 43.5. I took it again because they're
on pace to score 8 points in this half.
Wow.
Listen,
they're scoring 2 points every 4 minutes.
What's the least the team has ever scored in an NCAA tournament game, play-in and regular? What is the lowest it's ever?
I don't know what it would be, but I
we
think
better find out because Virginia's going to set this record the way things are going.
The key thing is in the shot clock era, and I think the shot clock came in 86.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Coach, this is so bad. I bet you, like, it won't matter. Like, which it'll make it even more.
If I am Val Ackerman is the commissioner of the Big East. I think Rick Pitino.
Oh, here we go. It's in the shot clock era.
Go ahead. And Shaheen always have a press conference and blast the tournament selection. The tournament selection committee has so much to answer on this. Oh my God! They just ran a picket fence. Oh my God! I can't believe it. And they missed the layup.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they miss easy shots too. How are they so bad? Like I said, let's get back to the picks because this is just it's hurting my head.
Enough is enough. Let's let Virginia die. Like, enough is enough here. It's disgusting. They suck.
I may take
this really is one of the worst performances in the history of college basketball.
You're right. Absolutely correct.
All right, so Coach, we went over to region here. Some of the games as far as the spreads for this, a lot of pick 'em. So Michigan State's a 1-point favorite over Mississippi State. I agree. I think Michigan State are going to win this game. It's just written into the television aspect, entertainment, blue blood special. Michigan State and North Carolina on Saturday. Duquesne. What if this one, Coach? You think Duquesne can hang with BYU? BYU are like 9.5.
BYU is one of the best shooting teams in the country, but they can also turn around and go cold. So I think there's a possibility of it. The coach of Duquesne, do you know who he coached in high school?
LeBron James.
There you go. Then he was the coach at Akron. And he's also going to retire at the end of the season. I think they send him out being competitive. I'm going to go to Duquesne.
LeBron still has college eligibility. LeBron never went to college. I'd imagine that. You just rolled him in. He enrolled. He's in.
I'll tell you what. You know who can use him? Virginia. They can really use him right now.
Virginia can use Bronny James right now. Bronny would help him.
Virginia looks like the guy, like when you go, what's Space Jam? Where like where they take all the game out of all the players. That's Virginia right now. They have no game.
Akron gets 12.5 against Creighton. Totals 141 there. Arizona are 20.5-point favorites over the Beach. 163.5 expected track meet. Wagner, who just won. And I thought of this, Coach. They don't do these teams any favors. Wagner wins, and they play an afternoon game. It's not even at night on Thursday. It's like, all right, okay, congratulations. You get North Carolina on Thursday afternoon, 2:45 Eastern time. North Carolina are 24-point favorites. Totals 133.5. Morehead State and Illinois, Coach. Stop me when one of these dogs sort of catches your eye or you think the favorite's going to kill them. Morehead State's getting an 11.5, total 148 against Illinois. Oregon's a really interesting game against South Carolina. Can they keep their magic ride going?
They're going to win.
You like the Ducks?
Yeah, I like the Ducks. They're playing really well. They're solid defensively. South Carolina is a very, 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 very flaky team. This is another coach that there was rumors of him retiring. Dana Altman, a longtime coach of Oregon. I do like Oregon plus the 1.5. I think they went outright.
Pretty crazy, all these 1-point spreads. Here's Nevada. Nevada are 1-point favorites over Dayton, 136.5 there. Oakland get 13.5 against Kentucky, 163.5. The Horizon in the house. The Horizon League champ.
Okay. 162.5. So that means that's 81 points per team, 13.5. That means they think Kentucky, what's their team total got to be 92, 93 points. Now, Greg Campbell's been there for a long time. Expected track me, exactly. Maybe the team total over. A Kentucky team that can score as well as anybody in the country with all those guards. 6 of them that can get you 20 plus.
McNeese State it was 6. It's 6.5 now against Gonzaga, total 150. South Dakota State plus 16.5 against Iowa State, 135.5. St. Peter's coach getting 21.5 against the Vols. Well, what's your take on this St. Peter's team?
Shout out to Bashir Martin, who left, ready folks, Wagner to go to St. Peter's, when Shaheen Holloway left St. Peter's to go to Seton Hall.
From Staten Island to St. Pete's.
Yeah, to St. Pete's. So to me, let's back up. Put that McNeese State spread up real quick.
6.5 now. It's up to 6.5. It says 5.5 there. It's 6.5 now.
McNeese State on the money line. I think they went outright.
Really? You're calling it Gonzaga gets bounced, huh?
They're dangerous offensively. I'm worried about Gonzaga. I don't think the WCC is as good as people think. I'm throwing out that loss, that win at Kentucky. It doesn't mean much to me.
Man, you got to say Mary's losing the Grand Canyon, too. You're a big hater on this conference, man. Both of them kept. He's even got McNeese beating them, man. You're saying Grand Canyon and McNeese are better than their conference.
But ready? But time out. You missed the game. Put up the 4-13 matchup, guys, which is Kansas versus Sanford.
We're getting to that one, yeah. That's my upset special, Coach. I called it on Sunday night.
Oh, and now McCullough's out.
That's right.
McCullough's out. That's huge. People forget that the number one scorer on the Kansas Jayhawks was now Hunter Dickinson. It's Kevin McCullough Jr. That's a big loss. And that shoulder,
and if you're Dickinson,
anyway.
And Dickinson's not 100%, right? Even if he plays. And I was thinking about it, Coach. He's the sort of the one guy, too, that whatever, dude, you're a big dude. Sanford is going to run right past you. You know what I mean? It's not a good, return game for him against a team that's going to want to push take the big man out of the equation. They're never going to want to let them set up and, they're not going to set up in a half-court set ever, and they're going to try to just badger them on defense. And not to mention the game's in Utah, Coach. So Kansas are going to need to deal with an altitude situation here as well. And they're a beat-up basketball team. I agree. This is the Sanford team I like. I like this team. The Archer kid is a stud. The other kid reminds me of Chris Webber Light Jr. He also wears number 4. I think it's Marshall. And you got the kids that can hit the threes. They're a fun team, Sanford. The point spread, guys, for that game opened at 8.5. It went down to 7. It went back up to 7.5. I'm seeing a 7 right now. Total 153. I like the over of that game too.
Yeah, I think. Listen, I think what I will do is I'm going to take the team total over for Sanford by itself. I think that Sanford is going to be able to get up and down and score. They're very good offensively, and McCullough is also one of their top defenders. As I'm watching Virginia, they tried to run a fast break. They couldn't even run a fast break right. The only thing concerning me with the team total right now is Colorado State starting to go a little bit too fast offensively. They need to slow it down. 41-21, 13 minutes left to go in the game.
Kid on Virginia had a wide open look from the corner, threw an air ball from the corner. The easiest 3 to do.
Shocking.
It wasn't even just an air ball. It sailed over the basket. It actually went it was This is some YMCA ball stuff, bro. Like they're playing white guy YMCA ball. Let's just call it out for what it is. I got coach. This is.
What about UAB and San Diego State? That game intrigues me. UAB's better than people think.
Yeah, I know, but I can't listen. They beat Temple in the final. A Temple team that got alleged for point shaving. Went on a
that was a hell of a run by Temple.
It sure was. And then turn around and then it looked like they threw the conference championship. So to me, I think
it makes them look worse, coach. Well. Like I said, if you're under investigation for throwing games, you got to suck again on the way out and go, look, we weren't doing anything. We just were bad this year. Now suddenly you start playing well, then it really starts to open up. We're like, well, what the hell was going on with these games? But I think San Diego State will be too much for UAB. What about Drake and Washington State? Another pick-em game.
What a game.
Drake and Washington State.
Maybe I'm showing my hatred to the West Coast. Give me Drake. The Drake Bulldogs, who is extremely good. They're very good offensively. But think about it, guys.
East Coast bias.
How many times this shows you the misseeding of the tournament. How many times have you seen like the worst seed as favorites? It's a lot. It's Nevada.
Drake always is one of those teams. They always screw up.
Look at Nevada, coach. Nevada 10 seed is favorite. Nevada is a 10 seed. They're favored over the 7 seed. Here's another one where the 10-7 as well. Drake are favored over Washington State. So you think Drake are going to get it done? All right, flowing into Friday morning's early games, Northwestern and FAU. This one. What happens with FAU, coach? Do they catch that magic again? Now they're back in the tournament.
I mean, they'll win a game and then they're going to get boat raced by UConn, But
you think I think they beat Northwestern, right?
I agree with that.
They beat Northwestern. I would take FAU in the money line. I think they win absolutely.
Everyone's trying to hype up Stetson, but the poor bastards got UConn. They're getting 26 and a half.
Good luck. Listen, the only thing that's concerning me, oh my God, Colorado State, for a team that's up by 20 against a team that doesn't push the pace, they take some of the dumbest freaking shots I've ever seen in my entire life. Good luck going against a Hurley. I've coached against Bob Hurley Sr. They want to beat you in everything, and they want to beat you bad. They'll win it in a blowout.
What about James Madison, Wisconsin? James Madison's a popular.
JMU.
You like JMU?
Money line. Yep.
Really?
They're athletic. They're balanced offensively, and they're playing one of the worst defensive teams in the tournament in Wisconsin.
I have them beating Duke to get to the Sweet 16.
Wow!
I have James Madison in the Sweet 16.
I don't know if Duke even beats Vermont. Vermont will give them a game.
I was just going to ask you about this. We got to take the 11.5. I agree. I think Duke wins by like 6 or 7 against the Cats.
Yeah, it's a grind.
Catamounts in the house.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance.
That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
Unlike the last one, I don't think these managers are going to sign up for a 1-1 draw. I think the Spurs know they need to win this one. They need the full 3 points to try to get into Champions League position.
But generally speaking, I find Klopp and Liverpool's approach to be much more effective, which is you disrupt those patterns of play, you get in the middle of those triangles, and you put them on the back foot.
Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca. Only on SportsGrid.
Hunter Dickinson and Kevin McCullough Jr. are not going to be fully healthy for the NCAA tournament. I think KU might be in danger of a very early round of 64 exit in the Big Dance.
They're playing really, really good defense, and to me, that's what you need this time of year. You got to be playing great defensively to give yourself a chance. Not like Kentucky, who gave up 97 last night.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, a.k.a. the Junk Man. I'm actually Fred Sam, the white Fred Sanford here, in which I'm like a...
oh, my God, you just both free throws.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm just trying to get some scraps right now on the way out. Some scrap metal in the back of the truck with the over 104.5 here. Air balls, missed free throws, just like an absolute catastrophe.
So bad.
Like, I'm not sure if you put like a bunch of blindfolded drunk people on the court, they wouldn't do as good. Yeah. Like just randomly throwing the ball randomly, like blindly at the basket. This is bad. Okay, what about tomorrow? Grambling State and Montana State. Montana State linked 3.5 now.
I like Montana State. This team is pretty good offensively. I think they'll be able to score enough for scrambling. Give me Montana State minus the points.
Yeah, I agree, but my picks are terrible, but I agree with you. Colorado and Boise. Nice showing by the Mountain West tonight, but you're the what are you going to do with this? You have two West Coast teams. You can't hate on them both.
Can't hate on both.
I'm gonna go with Coach Boyle's team. I'm gonna go with Colorado minus the points. Or in the money line. It's 2.5. So I'll take them on the money line. I also think the winner of this team is going to beat Florida in the round of 64.
I agree,
what's your Final Four, Coach, and then your national championship?
UConn, Baylor, Houston, Purdue. UConn plays Houston in the national championship game, and I got UConn winning the national championship as they miss another free throw by Virginia. This is getting funny.
That's not going to help my over 104.5. I need every point I can possibly get. I have the same final, actually. I've got UConn beating the UConn beating the Houston Cougars in the championship, which pays 16-1. Exact final result. Connecticut to beat the Houston Cougars plus 1,600. Great stuff, Coach. Thanks.
Later, Coach. Thanks, guys.